Welcome back to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're diving into some really practical material. It's source info related to the SAP CS4CS 2502 exam.
Right, the one covering SAP S4 Cloud Sales and Service.
Exactly. And what we want to do is pull out the key insights, the nuggets of knowledge from these practice questions and their explanations.
Yeah, it's sort of a shortcut. We're grabbing the core ideas about how specific S4HAN Cloud Sales processes and features actually work, just to help you get up to speed quickly.
For sure. The source material does mention the basic exam facts, like 80 questions, 3 hours, you need a 66% score. It's in English.
But the real gold for us today is in the scenarios those questions paint and the logic behind why certain answers are correct.
Definitely. And they cover quite a range. We're talking specific sales stuff like free of charge deliveries, returns.
Yeah, and also how you use the system day to day, like monitoring things in Fiori apps, how sales links up with finance.
Long-term deals, the SAP Activate method for implementation.
Those third-party sales scenarios, system extensions, analytics, even just getting documents printed or emailed out. It's a good mix.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's unpack these points then and see what these questions really tell us about using S4 in a cloud. First up, let's talk about a specific scenario. Free of charge delivery. Process key DZ5, right?
That's the one. Delivering something without billing for it, essentially.
So the source highlights a key outcome here. What's the main thing to know about the documents?
Well, the crucial point is what doesn't happen when you create the outbound delivery document in this Bootify process.
Okay.
It gets created without a billing reference.
Ah, no billing reference. So the system logs that the goods shipped,
Right.
but it deliberately stops you from automatically creating an invoice from that specific delivery.
Precisely. Because the whole point of this process is that there's no immediate charge tied to this shipment. So no invoice is created directly from it. It prevents a financial posting happening just because the goods left. Keeps the physical movement separate. You know?
Makes sense. Like for a warranty part or something.
Could be, yeah.
Okay, next point. Let's talk user experience. Monitoring orders. The Managed Sales Orders Fiori app is pretty central, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Users run that a lot.
So how does it help someone quickly see if an order's stuck? Maybe blocked for delivery?
The source points to a specific feature for that quick visibility. It's the process flow visual indicator.
A visual indicator in the flow itself.
Yeah. So you don't have to drill down into every single order line.
Okay.
It gives you that quick sort of at-a-glance view of where the order stands. Order, delivery, invoice stages.
Right.
And critically, it shows if there's a block, like a delivery block, right there in the overview.
So it improves transparency, speeds things up for finding problems.
Exactly. Helps users spot the exceptions much faster.
Good. Okay, shifting gears now. Let's talk finance integration. This is always key. When you post a standard sales invoice in S4 on a cloud, how does the system know which GL accounts to hit? For revenue, for customer receivables, maybe cost of goods sold.
Yeah, that's the core of the integration. It's not random, obviously.
Right.
It all comes down to configuration. The source says the key is the account determination procedure.
The procedure. So it's a set of rules, not just hard-coded based on the material type.
No, definitely not hard-coded. It's much more flexible. This procedure is a configured framework.
Okay.
And it uses various factors. It could be the customer group, the material group, the sales area, different combinations.
To figure out the exact accounts.
Right, to make sure the correct revenue account, receivables account, and so on are posted for that specific transaction. It's designed to handle complex accounting needs.
Got it. Flexible, but sounds like you really need to get that procedure set up right.
Oh, absolutely. Critical setup.
Okay, what about longer-term business? Sales scheduling agreement.
For ongoing supply relationships.
Once you have that main agreement set up, what's the specific document used to track the actual planned shipments, like the dates and the quantities needed over time?
Right, so the agreement is the umbrella contract. But the operational part, the bit that drives the actual deliveries, that's managed by the delivery schedule.
The delivery schedule. Okay, so that's the detailed plan within the agreement?
Exactly. It contains the specific dates and quantities the customer expects you to deliver against that main scheduling agreement. It's what logistics will be working off.
That makes sense. Different documents for different levels of detail.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch to implementation. SAP Activate is the methodology for S4 HANA Cloud.
It is the standard approach now.
Within Activate, there's this key activity called the Fit to Standard Workshop. What's the main goal there? What are you trying to achieve?
This is really fundamental to the Activate mindset, especially for the cloud. The primary purpose, according to the methodology itself, is to validate standard processes and identify required adaptations.
Validate standard processes.
Yeah.
So you start by looking at SAP's pre-built best practices.
Yes, that's the starting point. You sit down with the customer and walk through the standard SAP processes for their industry.
Why start there instead of just asking the customer what they want?
Because the philosophy with S/4HANA Cloud is to leverage the standard as much as possible. These processes are already built, tested, integrated. So the workshop aims to see how well those standard processes fit the customer's needs. Then, after that validation, you identify where you might need, some specific configuration changes or maybe a small extension.
So it's about adopting first, adapting second, not jumping straight to custom stuff.
Precisely. It actively discourages defining custom solutions from the get-go. Fit to standard is about maximizing the standard value.
Got it. Okay, let's look at a supply chain scenario. Third-party sales, but specifically the one with a shipping notification BDL process, I think.
Yeah, BDL. That's where your supplier ships directly to your customer.
Right. So in that flow, what actually tells your SAP system that the supplier has shipped the goods? What triggers the creation of that supplier delivery record in your system?
Good question. It highlights the system-to-system, or at least business-to-business interaction. The trigger, according to the source, is the shipping notification that the supplier sends you.
The supplier sends us a notification, like an EDI message or something.
Usually, yeah, or through a portal.
Yeah.
But the point is that incoming message, that notification,
Is the signal.
it's the signal to your S/4HANA Cloud system that the goods are shipped. And that notification triggers the creation of the supplier delivery document within your system.
Ah, okay. So your system is kind of waiting for that external confirmation before it creates its own record of that shipment.
Exactly. It needs that external trigger to update the status and allow for subsequent steps, like maybe invoice verification later.
Fascinating. Okay, let's talk about changing the system slightly. Key user extensibility is a big concept in S/4HANA Cloud.
Yeah, empowering business users, not just developers.
So if a key user, someone from the business side, needs to add a new field to a standard Fiori app, maybe a sales app, let's say they need a custom reference number field, what tool do they use?
That's a core capability.
Yay.
For adding custom fields to standard apps and even some basic logic, the tool for key users is the Custom Fields and Logic app.
Custom fields and logic. So it does both. Adds the field and maybe some rules around it.
That's the idea. It gives them a, relatively user-friendly way to define a new field, make it visible on the screen, and maybe add some simple validation logic, all without needing a developer to write ABAP code.
That's pretty powerful for adapting the system quickly.
It really is. Gives businesses agility.
Okay, switching again. Analytics. The source mentions the Sales Performance Forecast app.
Predictive analytics.
Right. To predict future sales, what historical data does this app mainly rely on, according to the source?
For this specific forecast app, the primary data source it uses, based on the material, is quotation history.
Quotation history. Interesting, not just past sales orders.
Seems counterintuitive at first, maybe?
A little, yeah. Why quotes for predicting future sales?
Well, think about it. Quotations represent documented interest. They're formal offers you've sent out.
Sure.
So analyzing the history of quotes, how much value, the conversion rates gives you leading indicators about demand before the orders actually land. It's looking earlier in the pipeline for predictive signals.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. It's a signal of potential future business.
Exactly.
Nearly done. Getting documents out of the system. Output management. Like sending an invoice.
Yep. Crucial step. Needs to be reliable.
So for billing documents in S/4HANA Cloud, what needs to be set up beforehand to make sure the output, like an email or a printout, actually gets triggered?
It doesn't just happen automatically based on the document type alone. The absolute prerequisite, the source says, is that output parameter determination must be configured.
Output parameter determination sounds technical, so you need to set up rules.
Pretty much. It's a configuration framework where you define when an output should trigger, like on save, what output type, email, print, EDI, how it should look, which form template, and who it goes to, based on partner functions, maybe?
So it uses conditions based on the document, the customer.
Right. Based on the context of that specific billing document, the rules figure out the correct output action. It ensures the right thing goes to the right place automatically.
Okay, essential configuration then. Last one. Returns processing. Scenario BKN.
Customer sends goods back.
Right. And they usually want a credit memo, a refund.
Understandably.
So what absolutely has to happen in the system before you can issue that credit memo? What's the critical prerequisite?
This is a key control point. To prevent issuing credits incorrectly, the rule is the returned goods must be received.
Physically received
Yeah.
and recorded in the system.
Yes, you need that confirmation, usually via posting a goods receipt against the returns, or to show the items are actually back in your possession.
So the system needs proof of physical return before releasing the financial credit.
Absolutely. It validates the whole reason for the credit memo and keeps inventory counts accurate before the financial transaction happens, ensures things are done in the right order. Given this reliance on specific triggers, specific configurations, specific sequences, what do you think are the real-world business impacts if one of these seemingly small steps gets missed? Or if a configuration isn't quite right? Or if a user bypasses a step?
Yeah, beyond just getting an exam question wrong, what kind of operational issues, or maybe worse, financial problems could that cause down the line in a live business? Something to think about.